Remember when the X Games sounded more like a low-budget porno instead of a display of freakishly talented awesomeness that the world now respects? Look at what the extreme sports guys have managed to do. They've taken a group of people who were seen as a bunch of druggy, underachieving misfits with a penchant for creatively trying to kill themselves and turned themselves into mainstream celebrities. Ironically, when we thought that they were losers, the extreme sports guys were looking at the world like, y'all are losers for not being a part of this awesome sport. Now I can walk into any Whole Foods at 1 o'clock on a Thursday, and 3 out of the 5 soccer moms there know who Tony Hawk is, but have no clue what he does. Imagine a world where soccer moms want their daughters to date gun guys because it signifies a level of responsibility and self-sufficiency, which it does. But somehow the lunatics who happen to own guns are the poster children for all gun owners. Gun owners have to deal with this rule-swallowing exception because we want to apologize for our interests or passions, make excuses for why we own guns, let people make us feel crazy for owning them, when we should be totally out in front in the mainstream. If we don't act like a fringe society, then we won't be treated like a fringe society. But all too often, gun owners act like they're doing something wrong. It blows me away that there are no mainstream gun celebrities. And no, I'm not talking about celebrities who just happen to like guns. People like to turn their nose up to the idea of making guns mainstream. But anti-gunners have spent millions to convince the world that gun control is mainstream. They just use words like reasonable. They understand the power of the mainstream. And they're also terrified at how protected the Second Amendment would actually be if guns ever became mainstream.
All right, so I want to hit on what you talked about earlier with Tony Hawk, because I do agree with you on so many levels with that. Like, Tony Hawk was able to do what he did because he became the face of the X Games, basically, right? And he was able to do that because he changed the face of what most people were perceiving was the skateboard, X Games, snowboard lifestyle, you know? And then he comes along. He's a nice guy. He seems to be nice. I don't know him. He seems to be very likable, good-looking guy, clean cut, you know, I mean, just a cool guy. And he was just able to do something for these sports by changing that whole perception.
Yeah, and I think what essentially we're missing in the gun community is that face that isn't, one, obvious, and two, that isn't negative. Right now, we're continuing with the negative perception, which is these shootings that keep happening and the overglorification of these shootings that happens in the news media.
And isn't that so weird? Because every person I know that's a gun owner, good person, family person, you know, responsible, safe, would never do anything wrong with a gun, you know? I mean, it's like, that's already what's out there, but clearly that's not the face. But we have a media, though, too, that is painting the picture for us.
They're trying to paint the picture, and right now they're actually, I don't want to say they're successful, but they're getting close. The thing about it is when you touched on the negative image that's out there, and then there's the obvious. And I know there's going to be a ton of people who are like, well, we have these people in the community. We have all of these celebrities in our gun world. Why aren't they the mainstream celebrities? Like when you talk about like for instance certain trainers and certain people who are sports figures who shoot and things like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, but it's almost too obvious. That's the problem. We don't have that one that person that's just like big, that's just really lifestyle shooting that represents everybody else.
But there's a lot of factors that play into someone being a celebrity anyways.
Which is true.
I mean, not every actor that's an actor is a celebrity.
Which is very true. But the fact that we don't have one, if you look at every other medium or every other subculture, so to speak, there is one. You can kind of point to someone that's like, okay, they've taken that and made that mainstream.
I almost think about it in terms like what they were able to do with UFC when it first started out. UFC got banned. After it first aired, it got banned in like many states. You had to only watch it on pay-per-view because people were like, oh, it's too violent. There were no rules, there were no regulations. And then somebody was able to take the same idea because it saw the potential of what was in the sport, put some parameters around it, remarket it, And now UFC, as we know it, is what we're watching on television. You know, they put a face to it with Joe Rogan. And, you know, I mean, and so maybe you do something like that.
Well, I mean,
with the gun
I'm
world.
not
I don't
saying
know.
we need to sit here and develop a marketing strategy for guns.
Yeah, because
But what I want to do is start talking from a holistic perspective and entertain the idea that not entertain it, like adamantly say it, like it's okay to own a gun. You're not crazy because you bought a gun. You're not crazy because you have a safe full of guns. That doesn't make you crazy. There isn't some secret magic potion inside a firearm that makes you go crazy because you have them. All it takes is one person who knows another person that owns a lot of guns, but like, no, that is a great guy. Like, that is a great girl. So then we're able to distinguish the exceptions from the rules, because there are a ton of rules out there. The only problem is what's being shown in the media is the bad stuff. And then when we talk about movies, that's in a vacuum. It's, oh, well, that's in the movies. You know, that's like guns in the movies is fine. You bring them to reality, it's like, oh.
You know, we were just saying that we're not going to come up with a marketing strategy, but I almost think about the things that we go and do with Le Sort, right? But what if we could do that on a bigger scale? What if they turned it into something that could be some sort of spectator sport, or, you know, I mean, something. I don't know how to show about it, or well, we do have a show about it. But, no, you know, they take reality shows and they follow like MMA fighters up to the big fight. I don't know, but I'm just saying, like, it is.
Sometimes all that really needs to happen is just the idea to be put out there. The gun right now is polarizing. The gun issue is polarizing. I'm not like I'd be an idiot to act like, oh, well, no, it's not polarizing. It is. And right now, I personally don't think the gun should be politicized. I don't. I just don't. However, with it being so polarizing, and within that scheme, within that framework, it speaks volumes as to why we should even be more adamant about being unapologetic about being gun owners.
Yeah.
Because right now we're allowing psychopaths to paint our picture. And that's ridiculous. It's totally ridiculous. I'm not going to be held accountable for another sociopath's doings. I'm just not.
And I don't think we should, but I think all of that is very interesting.
Very much so.
Yeah.